What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel today. We're here for Flex Friday, but today's Flex Friday, it's going to be a little different. Our boy Andy is up in Alaska, but do not worry. We got him to send us some voice memos from the bush, basically. So we're still going to get both of our takes. I'm going to do my best to edit this so it at least makes enough sense. I'm going to put some graphics and film clips up when Andy's giving his points. So stay with us. Thank you guys for coming back. If you haven't been to the channel before, on Flex Friday, Andy and I each do 3 flex picks. We also do quarterback and tight end streamers at the end of the episode. Basically, we're trying to give you some guys that are either on your bench that we think have good matchups or could have good weeks. Maybe some guys that are on the waiver wire in the streaming section. And then in the middle of the show, we give you our accountability, how we've been doing on our picks so far. We're trying to pick some guys that are hard decisions. We're not picking these slam dunk starts that you guys are all smart enough to be playing. So thank you guys for coming to the channel. And we're going to get this kicked off with Andy's first pick.
Hey, buddy. Glad to make it back in for Flex Friday. Been on an island off the coast of southeastern Alaska for the last few days. I have not showered since the Packers won on Sunday. I smell like absolute garbage. But still managed to get a couple fantasy football players that may belong in your lineup this week. We're going to start off with Zack Moss. He was your guy last week, flip-flopping between us two. Big game last week, got a garbage time touchdown, but still got it done. And this week they get to play the Panthers, who last week got up for Andy Dalton, get a new quarterback in there. But I feel like they're going to come back down to where they have been after this last win. Their defense has been really bad against the run, and even though last week seemed like a make-or-break game for the Bengals, this week even more so. So I think they're going to be scoring. I think they're going to get up ahead. I think Zack Moss is going to get a lot of touches, and will probably get his touchdown well before 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
For my first pick of the week, we're going to go Cam Akers. Looks like Mixon and Pierce are going to be out again for the Texans. Akers had an okay last week. I had to throw him in a couple lineups last minute. He did score. He wasn't the most efficient, but this is a much better matchup against the Jaguars for Akers. The Jaguars defense looks pretty rough. We saw what the Bills did to them. They absolutely stomped them. And he's going to be the starting running back for the week on one of the NFL's best offenses. And for that, I'm happy to throw him into my lineup. If you're in a pinch, you added him off waivers last week, you're sitting on him, you need RB help, or you're just looking for a nice floor kind of running back to play in your flex position, I think you could do a lot worse than Cam Akers this week going up against what's a weak Jacksonville defense.
Up next, we got Jordan Addison, who should be coming back from his ankle injury this week. And if the Packers are smart, they should be keyed in on Justin Jefferson, who has torched them in the past, but has also been shut down by Jair before, so this should be a really fun match to watch. This should give Addison some easier looks. The Packers are 19th DVOA versus wide receiver 2s, only through the first 3 weeks of the season. Last year, Addison had 8 receptions and a touchdown in Lambeau as a rookie, and Naylor has had a touchdown in every game so far this season. But with Addison back, I think he will fill into that role, and I think he will see a lot more targets in Lambeau on Sunday.
Okay, for my second Flex Friday pick, going back to the same game, it's going to be a pattern today if you can't tell, but I'm going Christian Kirk at wide receiver for the Jaguars. Had a pretty slow start to the season, didn't really do much the first couple weeks. Had a great game last week, though, as the Jaguars were playing catch-up against the Bills and kind of looked like he involved himself back in the passing offense. Obviously no Evan Ingram probably again for the Jaguars, and they're going to have to score some points against Houston, who has a good defense and a great offense. So I think Christian Kirk is a pretty good play here at flex. I think he showed last week that he's going to be involved in the offense. He's going to get some targets. He's going to move the chains. He has a chance to score. And I'd imagine, again, that Jacksonville's going to have to throw the ball to keep up with Houston this week. So for me, I like putting him in my flex position or my wide receiver 3, especially in a PPR league or a half-point PPR league if you're getting some points for each one of his catches.
We're sticking at running back with Tony Pollard, who maybe people don't consider him a flex because he put up 2 great weeks. Weird game against the Packers last week. As a Packer fan, I was stoked, but that was not at all how I expected that game script to go. The Titans really could use a quarterback as talented as Malik Willis on the roster. Maybe, they give up a first-round pick, get him before the deadline. But no Tua in Miami. Looked rough against Seattle. The Titans get the Dolphins this week, and I expect them to struggle. The answer for the Titans is to keep the ball out of Will Levis's hands as much as possible, and I think give it to Tony Pollard, who's looked great for most of this season. Dolphins are 5th this year in fantasy points given up to the running backs and 31st in rush defense DVOA, so this is the way to exploit their defense is running the ball. I think he has a bounce back after a down week last week and puts up some nice fantasy points.
And my last flex pick for the week is going to be Chuba Hubbard. I think with the Panthers, I do not expect the offensive explosion they had last week, but I think they showed that they look like at least a semi-competent team now on offense, and the matchup's great. The Bengals are going to look to come out strong. The Bengals have been scoring points, but they've been letting up a lot of points. Obviously, Washington did not punt last week against them at all. It was a high-scoring game, and I think when it comes down to it, I think Carolina's going to have to score some points. I think Chuba looks like the guy in that backfield, and he should have another good week and be involved, has a chance to score. He's involved in the run. He's involved in the pass. That's what you're looking for out of a flex guy, someone who's going to touch the rock, gives you a chance to get into the end zone. I think kind of similar to Akers, I expect a nice little floor out of Chuba for this week with a chance to have a bigger game, but I'm not expecting absolute fireworks. But I like putting both of these guys into my flex position for the week. Our accountability for the week, going back to last week, week 3 picks, Andy had Higgins, White, JSN, Geno Smith, Brenton Strange. Not the best week for Andy, but he was picking some guys that hadn't really done much. Hit really strong on his tight end pick for the week in Brenton Strange. Andy's currently sitting at 5-11 on his flex picks for the week, so let's hope he has another a good week, turns that around. I felt pretty good about my picks like week. Besides the 0 bomb from Shaheed, even though he had 5 targets, he could have had a touchdown on any one of those catches. I went basically 4 for 5, or I'm calling it 3 for 4. Those performances like Carson Steele in yellow, we kind of just count as a didn't help you, didn't hurt you kind of position. But Zack Moss had a monster game. Sam Darnold had a monster game. Zach Ertz had a good game if you had to stream him at tight end last week. He was my emergency fill-in at tight end streamer last week, and I'm currently sitting at 8 for 13, so I'm feeling pretty okay about my picks so far. Let's hope I can have another good week. But now moving into the streamer section of the show, Andy's going to kick us off with his quarterback streamer for the week.
For my streaming quarterback this week, I'm going with a guy who is owned in 40% of sleeper leagues, so he might be available in your league if you're really looking, and that is Geno Smith. He gets to play the Lions in the Dome in Detroit, and now the Lions have been better against the pass this year than in previous years, but they are still not a juggernaut. They are allowing the fewest points to running backs and are great against the run. So the way to beat them is going to be through the air. They have a prolific offense, so I could see this being a high-scoring game. I like Geno Smith. I like JSN. I like DK Metcalf. And if I needed to pick up a streamer this week, I think you could do a lot worse than Geno Smith. And that's about all I got to say about him. I need to go get in the shower and wash this disgusting smell off of my body.
So my QB streamer for the week is going to be Andy Dalton going up against old rival Cincinnati Bengals, right? The revenge game for Andy Dalton. Targeted this game. We've targeted this game with multiple ones of our picks. I just think there could be some points scored in this game for Andy Dalton. And he looked fine last week. He had a great game. Not expecting 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But hard to imagine Andy Dalton isn't sitting on your waiver wire in a 1 QB league. And if you're feeling desperate, this is one of those plays that can he put up a couple hundred yards and throw for a couple touchdowns and not hurt your team and put up some points to let your other players win you the game for the week.
And finally, at the tight end position, I'm going to go back to this Saints tight end roulette. I'm going with Taysom Hill, and he missed last week and really hasn't done much this season, but Kamara is dealing with some injuries, was limited in practice today. I still think Kamara plays, but I feel like they might get Taysom some more carriage to share in the workload after Kamara got nearly 30 touches last week. As far as dart throws go, I feel this one will at least hit the board. Whether it's a bullseye or a one is kind of yet to be seen. And based on me picking a Saints tight end, your best bet is honestly then to go pick up Foster Moreau or Juwan Johnson, because it seems like I always pick the wrong one, but one of them will go off. My bet is still Taysom Hill, but good luck out there. It's brutal in this tight end landscape.
Tight end for the week, I'm going back to Zach Ertz. He looks involved in the Washington offense. Washington looks absolutely great on offense, and Ertz is just helping move the chains. He's not their flashy player. That's going to be Daniels, the big plays from McLaurin and Brian Robinson. But Zach Ertz has been involved every week, and, they're going to have to score some points. Again, Washington is against the Cardinals. Could be a high-scoring game. As Zach Ertz, the little revenge game, too. It's going to happen. But I like it for Zach Ertz, So thank you guys for tuning into Flex Friday. I know it was a little bumpy this time without having Andy here. Tried to piece it together as best as I could. So thank you guys for sticking it out. Hopefully we still got you your picks and your information for the week. And best of luck with Flex Friday, guys. Hit us up if you have any questions. Like, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed what you saw. And keep tuning in every week, man. We're here to help you guys win your league. So thank you guys for tuning in. Say thanks to Andy. We appreciate him doing what he can. And thanks, y'all.